Thank you very much, and good evening. Last weekend, I went to Maastricht, and in the middle of the night, we were walking across the Vrijthof Square. And what we did not realize, that it is actually allowed for buses to drive there as well. So while chatting and without noticing, this bus approached us from behind, and it horned. And then this very friendly sound came out, boom. So it said, "Hi, I'm here, please move aside." So we stepped aside, and we all continued our ways. The bus could also have had such a heavy horn. We would freeze, and we would be dead now. But somebody thought about that. He thought about that, and he designed that sound of the bus. And let us live another day. So design matters. And design is everywhere around us. It's the sound also of your alarm in the morning when you wake up that determines how you wake up. It's in the taste of your coffee. It's in the shape of your car. It's in the interaction that you have with your apps. It's in the report, but it's also in the subject above an email. It's everywhere. And design is not only about the looks. It's really about what it does to a person. And design can make people feel good, and it can support them to perform better, but it can also give them new opportunities. And that's what I'm looking for in my work as a product designer. And maybe you still remember as a child when you would get new shoes. You would take them out the box and try them on for the first time. I would try them out, and I instantly had this feeling that I could run 3 times faster and jump 5 times higher. I see somebody recognizes it. And maybe with your children as well, they start to run and jump. And to be honest, I still have that feeling when I buy new running shoes. On that moment, I feel empowered, and it gives me the opportunity to do things that I could not do before. And that's something I recognize in the projects that we are working on together with our clients. With this rescue boat, we flipped gravity to make it possible for rescue divers to save drowning persons from the water in a very easy and fast way. And I'm not sure if you ever tried to climb onto an inflatable boat from inside the water. That is really difficult. Even if a friend is pushing you from behind and somebody pulling your arm, it's still very difficult. And that is what the rescue divers encounter when they try to save somebody from out of the water. So with this tipping boat, we use gravity to empower the rescue divers. This suturing device empowers surgeons. And it's meant, for example, to stitch blood vessels during a surgery. And as you can see, the wire and the needle in the tip of the device. And it's designed to perform very accurate and in less time, resulting in a better patient outcome. That's also empowerment. But what I also find empowering are solutions that help elderly people stay longer self-supporting, so that they can do and maintain their own daily rituals. And with this meal heater, people that can't cook anymore can still determine what they would like to eat that day and at what time. And so they don't have to be depending anymore on the schedule of the nursery home. By just pressing the one button, it starts to heat up. When ready, you take the white serving tray to your table, and at the table you can eat from your own porcelain tray and with your silver cutlery. And that is a totally different experience than eating a half-cold microwave meal out of a disposable packaging because you did not exactly understood how the oven works. And although these 3 ideas seem very different, the process to get to these ideas is exactly the same and very simple. It's this idea to get to innovative ideas and solutions that empower people. First, you need to see. You need to dive into a subject and really understand it from a functional point of view, as well as from the point how a user experiences that situation. Then think about creative solutions, and as soon as possible, start building models and prototypes in order to see again, think again, and improve so it zooms in to the final solution. And as you can see, this is not a linear process in which you write down all the specs up front before you start developing. but it's a process that is a step-by-step process that zooms in on the target and takes in everything you discover along the way. So in order to see, there are multiple ways of doing that, but the important thing is always to find good insights, user insights, and get to new project drivers, things that really will make the difference for the user. So sometimes as a designer, you have to learn how to see with your eyes closed. For example, if you develop products for blind people. Sometimes you have to see through the eyes of somebody else. For the suturing device, we interviewed surgeons and asked them to take us step-by-step through the procedures. And next to a lot of functional aspects that came out, we also discovered that the state of flow that they're in during surgery is really important, and that everything disturbing this flow is very annoying. So instead of only having the question, how can we develop a suturing device? The question became also, how can we design flow? So that became a new project driver of the project. And sometimes you have to see it with your own eyes. In case of the rescue boat I just showed, in a very early stage of the project, with very hands-on prototypes, we jumped into the water and experienced the challenge of the project ourselves. So the forces that you need to rescue somebody out of the water, but then also if you apply all those forces to one side of the boat, you end up in the water. It's very unstable. And although none of the initial solutions was successful, it was actually the inspiration for the next steps. And because we now understood much more about the situation, we came up with first idea that we thought looked promising. So as you see on the top, that's the normal position of the boat. And when you're approaching at the bottom a person in the water, you move over to the rear side of the boat starts to tip, and in that way you can kind of scoop the person instead of having to lift him all the way over the boat. So we thought it looked promising, and therefore we made the next model. And this is a fully adjustable model. You see out of wood and foam blocks, because we needed to understand much more about the tipping point, the balance, stability, and these kind of things. So we made it very adjustable. And it was actually with this model that we really surprised the rescue divers. A female colleague of mine was easily able to rescue one of the rescue divers. And you must imagine, these are strong and in general not the smallest guys. And she managed to get him out. And that surprise on his face and also that experience empowered us to continue with the project and knew that we were on the right track. So now we understood much more about tipping point and balance. We could continue to a 3D model, which is this, which also basically is a prototype because you think about it, you build it, and you see again, and in that way refine in a very similar way. And with this principle, so you would approach a drowning person in the water, you would move over to the backside of the boat, you would scoop the person in, and you let yourself fall backward on the boat, and the boat is flat again, and you can head for shore. So sometimes design and empowering can actually save lives. And as you have seen, it's a step-by-step approach that zooms in on the target. And so it's important to get started, get dirty and discover. See, really dive into the subject, create solutions and build prototypes as soon as possible. So this is how we approach it in product design, with the aim to create new possibilities and new opportunities for people and empower them. But I don't think this is limited to product design only, and you might be able to apply it to something totally different. And if you look around you, everything is actually designed, and that is a huge opportunity. So maybe you're also designing in your job or at home. It could be a product, a new restaurant, regulations, a website, or even an email. I think the question is, how can you empower with your design somebody else? And that's why I go to my work with great pleasure. And I hope that we all together can empower many more people in the future and give them the feeling that they can run 3 times faster and jump 5 times higher. Thank you very much.